Namaste. Just wanted to give you a little bit of heads up on this practice today. We are practicing activating our Apana Vayu, which is the descending force, which I have spoken about in on the page called Oasis of Elephants. But the Apana Vayu is the force. Physically speaking, it's about elimination, so it's our digestion, it's our bowel movements as well. But mentally speaking, it's really about grounding, acceptance, forgiveness, self-control, self-awareness. That all of that comes from the energy of being clear and grounded in ourselves. So Apana Vayu practice is a really good place to really start your yogic journey. One of the things I would like to mention, I'm going to leave it anonymous at this point because I haven't really asked her if I could talk about it with her name. But one of my students, actually graduate of yoga teacher training program, so she's now a yoga teacher teaching, and has spoken about a story of her teaching experience in one of her classes where she wore a t-shirt with a statement of Black Lives Matter. And then after the class, she never said anything about the movement. It's just about the t-shirt. She showed up to teach with the t-shirt. And one of her students came up to her and said in a nutshell, she said she doesn't want it to be reminded of political issues in a yoga class. And her studio managers, when my student talked about her teaching experience to the studio manager, and the studio manager said, well, you know, people want to get away, escape from what's happening in the world. And which I agree, I think there is that. But there's a lot in that story that I don't agree with, which is the idea of escaping. And that has been, unfortunately, the culture of yoga right now. Oh, I'm gonna go do yoga because I can't handle it anymore. I need yoga. And it becomes kind of this addictive behavior, very similar to addictive behavior, where I gotta get to yoga. And just, you know, and it becomes about just getting it done, just so that you can escape from the reality. And one of the things that I emphasize in yoga teacher training program, especially, but within classes as well, is that yoga practice is not about escaping at all. And in fact, it's about taking a stand in what you believe in and facing the reality of it all. And we practice our stability, our clarity, our self-awareness on the mat so that we can take our practice off the mat and become the solution to the world. So if we're escaping from the reality and then coming to yoga, that's not really the purpose of yoga practice. So, and I mention this because this class that you're about to watch is a bit chaotic. You'll notice that I edit it a bit. And I wanted to mention this before I edit it completely because there was a lot going on. It's kind of a windy day today, which is nice for practice, for a change, because it's very, very hot and humid right now. But it's very windy. I've got a group of kids downstairs playing with, I don't know, Legos or something like that, but a bunch of kids from neighborhood, and including my son, playing, and then a few divers downstairs chit-chatting, and there's a lot happening. I think our lovely jungle neighbor is fixing something outside. There's a lot happening. And in the beginning, I always kind of I felt kind of ashamed of all of that was happening around me. And no matter what I did, there was so much noise. And I used to yell at the divers, like, you guys are so loud, please be quiet. And I tried everything, which didn't work very well. Eventually, I kind of embraced this noise, which is part of life. I know that it's nice to do yoga in a place where it's very, very quiet, cave-like, tranquil. But what I'd like you to notice through this video is by listening to what's happening around you through this video, or maybe on your mat, I'd like you to notice what kind of ticks you off. A little bit of noise, a little bit of sounds, a little bit of this and that. And it's just like, I'm doing yoga, shut up. And I'd like you to notice that moment where it kind of ticks you off. As I speak, there's a lot happening right now. You know, when I practice, and then my son gets up exactly the same time. No matter what I say, he's either watching some cartoon or he's playing with the puppies, or, you know, and he asks for things, and my yoga practice gets interrupted quite a bit. And no matter how much I say, I'm doing yoga, Mama's doing yoga, you can't come here, it's just the nature of the business. It's life. And I think whether you have family or not, I think there's always disruption happening. And then I'd like you to notice what shows up. In the face of adversity, what do you do? Because that's the nugget, that's the essence of yoga practice. In that moment, what you do defines the quality of yoga practice you are having right now. So I'd like you to keep that in mind. I almost didn't post this video, but I think I'm going to. Enjoy the practice. Namaste.